Welcome. Thank you for being here this evening with us here in the heart of Europe, where we think that Europe has a soul. And as we think that, we are going to celebrate the Day of the Refugee. That is a day that is recognized by the United Nations. And we are going to have the second edition of Voices of Hope. So this is a joint event, but I will leave the floor to the Jesuit Raymond Parker, who is at the JRS Europe, and he will explain you all the details and about the partners. So thank you very much for being with us, and I hope you enjoy this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. I am Raymond Parkon, a Jesuit priest from the United States, from the UWE province, or that would be the California province, and I have a confession to make. When I joined the Jesuits, the first 2 years you are in the novitiate or in the seminary. So part of our formation is you have to do a faith sharing. So since there were like 8 or 9 of us seminarians, and we only have an hour of faith sharing, so we were told we could do our faith sharing for maybe 8 to 10 minutes per person. So out of the 8 to 10 minutes, I did my faith sharing for 1 hour and 5 minutes. So as far as I know, I beat the record of 45 minutes, and as far as I know, I'm still the one who has the record. So my point here is, I understand I'm here to talk for 15 to 20 minutes, so if I go over, let me know, or pull the plug mic out, and then I'll know. But just to make sure, I have my own guide too, so make sure I don't get it. Before I begin my talk, I want to say a disclaimer. A disclaimer in the sense that I am here to talk about resilience, positive stories, and best practices that can be adopted on how to accompany forcibly displaced people. But I'm speaking in the context as an educational migrant. I was born and raised in the Philippines. I moved to the United States when I was 27 years old to pursue grad studies. So I'm very aware that I'm coming from a place of privilege, and I'm coming from, my experience is not the same as other experience. So I would like to acknowledge the experiences of people who are encountering more or are having tougher experience. People who are refugees, asylum seekers, and stateless people. So to begin my talk, I'm going to divide my talk first on the reason why I decided to go to the United States. And the second part is like around 15 minutes of, it took me 15 years to get my citizenship in the United States. Of course, there are shorter ways of doing that. So I'm going to divide the 15 years, 9 years, and 6 years. And then the last part of my talk, I'm going to have a conclusion or like an insight, like best practices that we can follow. So anyone here considers himself a migrant? Raise your hand. Okay. So I read a book called A Short History of Migration by Ian Golding. And according to Ian Golding, is that we are all migrants. We trace ourselves, former generations, but all of us were all migrants. And that between 150,000 to 300,000 years ago, there's no debate, there's no dispute that we came out of Africa. What is in dispute is, where in Africa did we came out? And he says this is according to DNA tests, and this is according to archaeology. Whether we came out from the east part of Africa, south or north, but that between 150,000 to 300,000 years, people were going across Africa. And that's because of famine, that's because of disease, and because of droughts. For 150,000 people from Africa went out, came to the Middle East, and that's why we have the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia. Then after that, there was a decline, and then then there's another group of people came out again, and then went to in Asia, and then in part in Europe, and then they interbred with the Neanderthals and the Donovans. Now, out of these three species, Ian Golding says that Homo sapiens was the one who survived. And the reason why they survived is one of the theories because, one, they were considered to be adaptable people, and two, they were social people. So that's the reason why they're able to go out and then to go all over the world. And then by the time it was 45,000 years ago, there's no doubt that whatever places in the world that can be inhabited has been inhabited by everyone. And that's why he called this theory like bumping into people. But his point is, we're all migrants, and that we migrate because either of a need, because of curiosity, or maybe because of survival reasons, and that mankind or humankind will not be here today if we did not migrate. So the reason why I made that as introduction to my talk is because my migration story did not begin with myself. It began with my parents. My parents, my dad worked as a salesperson in the Philippines, and he was moved 3 times in his as a salesperson. I was born in the middle part of the Philippines, called Iloilo, and then we moved to Bacolod, and we moved to Davao for one reason. We were dependent on my father's job, and my father was the main income earner. Okay. We didn't know the language. If you're aware of the Philippines, there's 7,700 islands. Every island can have different languages. And I didn't know the language. My dad didn't know the language, but we moved to one place because we needed, our family needed a job. So, because of that, I was able to meet the Jesuits. Okay? And because I was able to meet the Jesuits, I was able to go to a Jesuit school, which I had the chance to attend a seminar in the United States as part of a student conference in business and economics. And it was my first time to go to the US, and when I went to the US, I was curious about it. It was totally different than the Philippines, and it stuck the curiosity in me about the US. I went back to the Philippines, finished my degree, passed the board exams in engineering, took a job, ran for public office, and 4 years after, I thought maybe I'll go back to the US and pursue grad studies. Okay. And then when I came to the US, I pursued grad studies in same field, also in software engineering. But there are some challenges. Even though I was an educational migrant, there were some challenges. Like, for example, I didn't know the roads in the US, they have like 6 or 8 freeways, and I was exposed to a freeway with like 2 lanes. So I learned how to drive in the Philippines, but I didn't know how to drive in an 8-lane. And also, since I was a foreign student, my funds were limited, so I bought a car, but I bought like a small car, like a 3-cylinder car. Like, call it a Geo Metro. And I remember when it was first time to drive in the freeway, and I said, all the cars on the right were going so fast. And these are like 8-cylinder and 12-cylinder, and they would overtake my car, and my car would be like waving, because it's like a 3-cylinder car, So I said, it was like a 3-hour ride, because I have to go from one city to another. So I said, ooh. And I said, there's a carpool lane. And then a carpool lane, I noticed the cars can drive based on speed what they want. So I said, maybe if I go to the carpool lane, I could just be riding on my own speed. I don't need to drive like at 80 because my car will be like shaking when I come to like 80 miles per hour. So I moved to the carpool lane, and then later when I was driving, I realized there's this huge pickup truck like going behind my back and then turning all his lights on. And then after that, he would go slow, and then he would go up all the way again at my rear and then turn the lights on. So I didn't know what it was, and later on, someone told me that basically the car was saying, "Get out of there because you're too slow for me." So that was one of the experiences that there are still other experiences also that I learned. For example, I live in an apartment by myself, and I noticed there's my next door neighbor apartment. I noticed that like around at exactly 8 o'clock, he would come back with all of these recycling bottles, recycling cans. And of course, as a student, I have limited funds. And then later I found out that he was selling that recycling cans, you know? And then since I was computing the gas money that I have in a 3-cylinder, maybe this could be a good way for me to get some extra money. So when he went, and the apartment I was living, it was near some of the bars. So and then I noticed there's a pattern. Every Saturday morning, that garbage, that recycle bin would be full of bottles. So I said, if he comes in at 8 o'clock in the morning, or maybe like 7 o'clock, maybe I could go at 6 o'clock in the morning, and maybe more earlier I can get the bottles. So that's also what they call the dumpster diving. So I took that, and then that saved me money for my gas money also. You know. But and then also I also found some ways to make some allowance for myself. I tutored math for some neighbors of mine, and then also if my uncle or friends were like, "Raymond, can you drive us to the airport?" They give me some extra money. But my point here is that migrants are not beneficiaries; they're survivors. Okay. Sometimes we have this impression that forcibly displaced people are just mere beneficiaries of what we do, but they're not. I've been privileged to work with the livelihoods projects of JRS Europe, and my friend here, Vicencio, will tell you that all these experiences of the migrants and refugees, they adapt, they survive. And the same history that we threw with our history from Africa, they adapt and they survive. Now, another experience that I have is, so in the US, you have to get a social security card. Also have to get a driver's license, and then you have to open a bank account. And of course, I was in California. You need to have a car because it's hard for you to go to work and school if you don't have a car. I know it's crazy to think about that, but so I thought I knew everything on my own because I had a good job in the Philippines and I thought I had enough skills, but I've learned some mistakes too, and that is I bought my first car, and then no one told me that I bought a lemon car. A lemon car is basically, there's something defective with the car. So I spent money, and then like a month later, I have to spend extra money again, and that made me go to look for more sources of funds again. And also renting an apartment. I figured out, okay, I have less amount of money, so the first thing to do is go rent an apartment that's cheap. But then I realized it takes me 1 hour and a half one way of traveling to my school, another 1 hour and a half going back to my school, also, and plus the gas. So also opening the bank accounts, social security number, and the driver's license. And then later on, a friend of mine, an next door neighbor, said, "Raymond, let me help you. This is what you should do. Okay, you can't go to the bank if you don't have your social security number. You can't apply for a driver's license. You don't have a social security number. Then you go to this DMV, the motor vehicle, because there's less line in here. You don't have to wait for 3 or 4 hours." And the reason I'm telling this is because again, in the JRS Europe livelihood report, community support is important. It may mean normal for us who've been born and raised here in the city, but for someone who's a foreigner, migrant or a refugee, like someone would help them what to do, or guide them to, or gives them the tips on what to do. That's very helpful too. So, for the first almost 2 years, I was not allowed to work because I was a foreign student, and then after that, it was the Asian crisis, and then I was able to get a work permit, but that limited me only X number of hours. So, I was an engineer. I had decent background of work in the Philippines, but when I applied for a job, I couldn't get a job. Because one, I don't have local experience. And two, even though my foreign credentials, my educational foreign credentials, was accepted by universities in the US where I don't have to go to college again, I can just go straight to grad school. When I apply for a job, it's still not accepted because it's not a local degree, it's a foreign diploma. So I start at the bottom. I work as a security officer. I would work from 11 at night until like 6 or 7 in the morning. I would go to school at 9 in the morning. And I also did some odd jobs. I did some telemarketing also. So basically what I was is, you would see this also, challenges that refugees and asylum seekers would experience going to different places, their host countries. They're, like in JRS Germany, they're doctors and nurses, but because of their foreign requirements, they cannot get a job right away. But however, I got my first break. I think I sent out like almost like 100 application letters, and since I didn't have what do you call a green card at the time, so I went to interviews, and then they'll say, I'll pass the first round of interview. Then second, they'll invite me to a second round interview, I'll pass it. And when it comes to the third round of interview, when it comes to negotiate for the salary and for the papers, I would say, unfortunately, I'm a foreign student. I don't have a green card. And this was the time when 2011 happened. So it was even more difficult because there's companies were laying off. Okay? So I got my first job, and my first job is I work in a small immigrant company, tech company. And my point here is that immigrants are job creators. Okay. Let me just give you some statistics by Ian Golding. In Silicon Valley startup, 50% are given by immigrants. Yahoo, Job, Intel, Apple, if you guys are all using it, that's because of immigrants. Steve Jobs, his mom is half Syrian. His father is half Syrian, his mother is half German and Swiss. He's an immigrant too. So, immigrants and refugee asylum seekers, they are contributing factors to our society, they're job creators. Now, the remaining 6 years, I got renewed from a working visa. I got my second working visa, and then after that, the company sponsored me for my green card. After I got my green card, at the time I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. I work in sales, so I traveled a lot, and I decided to myself, you know, maybe it's better for me. My family had a small orchid business back in the Philippines, and one of the jobs that I did in the US was to help my uncle with his orchids business. So I decided to start a small business selling orchids. So after I got my green card, I said thank you to the company, and then I quit, and then I started my own business, and I decided to go back to school again for my second master's degree. But the orchids business, that allowed me to work hard again, 60, 80 hours a week, but after 2-3 years, it was easier for me, that it allowed me to focus on my school. Now, after I got my second master's degree, that was when the thought of a Jesuit vocation came up. Okay, and I applied to the Jesuits, and I got accepted by the Jesuits. But before that, they asked me, "So you have a green card?" I said, "Yes. Maybe it's better for you to apply to become a citizen first." So I'm thankful also for the Jesuits, because without the Jesuits, I would not have been a U.S. citizen today. But so the moment that I arrived in the U.S., until I got my citizenship, it took me 15 years. Okay. So my point here is that, migration now is being security conscious. It's viewed now in the lens of security. Immigrants are a threat to security, they're terrorists. But like for me, I have to go through a background check. I go through a police check. I have to learn US history. I have to wait for 5 years. I have to prove I have to get a good moral character. And that's not only for me, but it's also especially for refugees too. Refugees takes a long time to be accepted to the US refugee program. I think 10 to 12 years as well. Okay. So let me just close with some insights here. Like what I said, I first got involved with JRS when I was doing theology at JRS Malta. I met Josephine. Josephine was from Africa, and when I met her, she was very gentle, nice, polite. She had 4 children with her when she went to her office. And in 1 hour and a half, she never raised a voice on her children, on her kids. Very loving, very gentle. I was helping her out process her legal claim to become a refugee, and I was reading her file. Turns out that she was a victim of human trafficking by her own uncle. And she fled the country because her uncle threatened her life, and that also of her mother. So when we were talking, suddenly she just said, "I'm doing this for my children." And that stuck with me. Okay? That stuck with me. And then also I also met David. He's an American, and I met him at the farmer's market. He employs Latino migrants. And he told me, I've known him for like almost 8 years, because I've also been at the farmer's market. And then he always overpays his employees. He always gives them food for lunch. And he always gives him apple, because they're an apple vendor, before going home. And then one of the farmers market, we had a conversation, and then he said, the reason why I have this business, the reason why, because I can feed my family, is because of the migrants from Latin America. They've become my family, they've become my friends, I've become their godfather. Okay. And he said, me too, when I trace back my roots going here to America, I was also a migrant myself, so I have to be good to them. So let me just close with a line from Leviticus 19:34, chapter 19, verse 34. You shall treat the alien who resides with you no differently than the natives born among you. You shall love the alien as yourself, for you too were once aliens in the land of Egypt. I, the Lord, am your God. Thank you. I'm sure that was over 20 minutes. But
thank you so much, Raymond, for your testimonies and to sharing different perspectives as well as positive messages. This is the idea around the event, the second edition of Voices of Hope. Nowadays we are living in a European context that is kind of weaponization, the narrative around migration, and we felt for the World Refugee Days they need to give a different perspective, because we have also a different Europe, where many programs of social inclusions and integration are taking place. So we take the opportunity this evening, to share with you some of those. So I would like to welcome with me our panelists, Sir Marie, Vincenzo, and Nathan, to have like a panel about the good practices that you are putting into place with your organizations. So I will just take a few words to present myself. I'm Sara Secchi. I work for Bosco International. That is the organization that represents the Salesian of Don Bosco before the EU, who serves children and young people from vulnerable backgrounds, empowering them and giving them a second chance to build a better life and be a better citizens as well. I will be your moderator for this evening. And I won't take too much time for now. So I already introduced the aim of the event, and we have the pleasure to welcome our panelists. And I would like to start with a very local project the Salesians of Don Bosco are running here in Brussels. So we have with us Sir Marie Vaillant, Salesian sisters, that is in charge of the Mariama project. And I would like to give the floor to Sir Marie, asking how did you get the idea of this project? And we know that the Salesian sisters share with us the same mission. So also like they take care of children and young people, like empowering them for the social marginalization situation, but they have a special focus also on younger and women. And this is one of the projects around them, so I will give the floor to Sir Marie.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. Indeed, I am Sister Marie, and I'm also educator. So for young people that have to 17 to 21 years old, and I will present you the Mariama project that we have here in the boarding school of Don Bosco in Gansoren, so one of the Brussels commune. And so the project started 6 years ago. And at the beginning, it was only for Belgian young people to 17 to 21 years old that wanted to gain some autonomy from their family because of difficulties with the families, also difficulties with the studies. And so this project is designed for young people that are still in secondary school and at the age of this transition to minority to majority. And then we did two encounters, one with a young woman that called Mariama, and she's a migrant, and she arrived in the project, and then she opened her eyes on the specific vulnerability of woman migrant. And then at the same time, we meet another non-profit organization that became our partner to build this project. And this project is like to make living together Belgian people and migrant people. And so over the course of 4 years, the project has matured, and we are now recognized by FEDASIL, and the agency gives us a support for 5 places for girls, migrant girls, and they are minor also. And so we choose to welcome only girls because of the DNA of the Salesian congregation, because we have a focus on the women that have some difficulties, and also to be in contact with the vulnerable of the vulnerable, because the woman in the migration submit to a lot of violence before, during, and after the migration way. So the girls that we welcome, they all run away of their country because of genital mutilation, forced marriage, war, famine, all this stuff. And during the way, they also they were like raped. They get into prison and also to be slave in some of the country that they go through. And after, what we face now when they are at home is like also prostitution and specific mental health disorder. And so, yes, and also the difficulty to stay in a school because they were not used to go to school in their own countries. And so also to have a project for their future and to have a work and things like that is not on their mind. And so by this project, we want to offer a place where the girls can feel secure, like to have time to rebuild themselves, and also to meet other people and not stay only among them. And so in the current context, it seems important to us to be able also to break down prejudice from each part, migrant and also Belgian young that have a lot of idea about the migrant people. And also what is particular in this project is that at the beginning, the young people are not volunteered to live together. So they just come there because they need an apartment, they need somewhere to live and to go to school, but they don't choose to live with migrants, and the migrant don't choose to live with Belgian people. And so it's a real challenge. But as a Don Bosco organization, we believe in the power of education, and therefore we offer a support for a school-based and also formative project for each young person. And it's really a challenge for all of them to support them towards independence, because they don't stay in this project all their life, of course. And so often they stay 2 years in this project, and then they have to have the necessary foundation to live independently on their own. And so what's happened is like the first step, when the migrants arrived, we faced two different crises. And at they arrive in a secure place, they can rest and breathe and just be in relief. And so in most of them, something broke. And this is an important moment that we have to catch, because it marks the transition between the survival mode to the life mode. So when they start to break, it's like they start to live. So it's very important. And so during this step, we treat all the emergency, psychology, administrative papers, and then we continue on that. But then the second step, it's when they realized, face to the peer group, so also with the Belgian people, that they are the same. And what is important to see in that, at a certain point of the project, what determines the young is not their past, but what they are today. And this, we have really this passage during the project. And in the end, they discover that they have many more issues in common, that they each have their past. And for the Belgian young, it's also sometimes a difficult past. But that doesn't define who they are in the present. And they all have to learn to live with this past. But above all, they discover that they have the same project, the same dreams, the same difficulties, the same joys. And because they dare to be together, to talk to each other, to discover each other, then they can live together. And their affinity doesn't depend on their country of origin, but on who they are really. And so what I didn't say is like today we have 15 young people in this project. And so from 10 different nationalities, 4 languages. They don't speak all French or Dutch or English, so it's end language. And then we have also 2 European volunteers that live with them, so it increases all the challenge of the interculturality. And maybe just to conclude, I put some phrases of the young people. So, for example, Melvin from Belgium, he said that in the semi-autonomy we are on our own, we must choose to relate to others. At first, we don't know how. We don't speak the same language, but then we realize that we share the same daily life. Also from a girl from Guinea that says that integration is difficult at first. We miss the families, and we need a lot of affection. There are ups and downs when we arrive. At first, I didn't like it because there are things going on here that in my custom are really not allowed. But then I told myself, if I'm here, it's by God's will. So I kept fighting, and today things are much more better, and I really like being here. Also, we have Belgian girls that say that we have to dare to talk and connect with the person. Also, the walls came down thanks to activity that allowed us to get to know each other. And the last, but we do not have the same culture, the same background, the same language, but we live all together. And so just I took this testimony because it showed that what is important for them is the present and not what happened before or what will happen after, but it's really the present time. And so it's really the objective of this project is like to pass from the emergency to the present, to be able to think about the future. But what is important now is the present. And so just to summarize, it's like this, like we have to accompany here and now all the young to be patient during the daily life, speak together, confidence, share moment of joy all together, and to have strong hope also that all these young can raise as adults. Yes, that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sir Marie, for also bringing the voice of the youngsters that they are involved in the project, and to underline that idea, hope, comes also with an encounter. And when we encounter the other person and we understand that it's similar to us, then we can build a last project. So I'm really happy now to also switch from the women. We now focus on the children with Nathan. Nathan Poati Zita, that is a project officer at the community of Sant'Egidio, Brussels. The community of Sant'Egidio is an international movement of lay people based on prayer, the poor and peace, and the community of Sant'Egidio in Brussels, Europe, implements the social, local and international activities here in Brussels. So Nathan, I would like to give you the floor to present a project that is focused on children, and it's called the School of Peace.
Yes, I would like to first thank you for having me. It's like my first time that I do this for this group of people that I've never seen presenting the School of Peace, so I'm very honored to do this. And the School of Peace is it's a very special thing. I remember myself when I first joined, well, before I first joined, I was on a vacation, well, a weekend with the Youth for Peace in 2017, and I expressed to our group leader that I wanted to do something of more substance. I would show up sometimes at Sant'Egidio, and my family has always been associated with it, but it was like more distant thing for me. So I told him, like, what can I do? And he told me back then, why don't you just go to the School of Peace in Brussels? You have the School of Peace in Antwerp, but you don't live in Antwerp, you live near Brussels. I don't live in Brussels, but near. And he said, you should go there. And I thought, yeah, he has a point, so that's what I did. A few weeks later, I came, and I knew the basics of what the School of Peace was. It's helping children with their homework. That's what it is, but it's much more than that. But by going there, I slowly discovered it. And it's not only the School of Peace, there's also the Youth for Peace. The Youth for Peace is literally what it is called. It's the young people that do the good work to create a peaceful world, and that doesn't have to be by grand acts, but it can also be by small acts, like, for instance, going to the School of Peace. To me, it's like sharing your second shirt that you have with someone who has no shirt, which is mentioned in Luke chapter 3, verse 11. Now, what is the School of Peace then? The School of Peace is, like I said, it's a place where we help children of our city with schoolwork, but we do more than that. We have also a lot of playtime, because, of course we do, children should play. I will really keep hammering that down. But we also go on field trips from time to time. We also go on vacation. For instance, next week we are going on vacation. And we also talk to our children because we take them seriously. They are children, so people think when you talk about them, about these concepts, isn't it a bit too abstract for them? Well, we say no. We say no, they can understand it, and we do it in dedicated group talks. Now, what do we do in those group talks? I would like to focus on that for a bit. We talk about how we can make sure that we live together in peace, because those children, they come every Saturday to us, and they don't, well, at first they don't know each other, and they learn to know each other, and of course they're children, sometimes it can clash. So we also teach them how to handle conflicts between yourselves, because at Sant'Egidio we are of the opinion that conflict has plagued humanity for as far as we can collectively remember, and also for far too long. So what we want to do is sow some seeds, and no matter how few it can be, but sow some seeds for a generation that can be better than us. And at the Youth for Peace, is the celebration, well, among other things, but it's the celebration of the acts that we do, because we also have homeless services, we also have the humanitarian corridors and humanitarian projects that we do, and there are young people involved, and also, of course, the School of Peace, and we make sure to meet each other. The big groups that we have are from Brussels, Antwerp. Antwerp is the biggest group in Belgium, and in Liège. And they also have quite a group of young people that are good friends of ours. But School of Peace itself is not a refugee or migrant program in of itself, but we are a part of Sant'Egidio, and like I just mentioned, we have all these other projects. So of course, it's inevitable that those that migrants or refugees eventually reach us, their children at least. And I would say that the School of Peace, the role that the School of Peace plays is very important, because you should have to follow me for a bit. Imagine this: you are a small young girl who just arrived from, let's say, Afghanistan, and you come to Belgium, which is a completely foreign country. It's borderline alien to you, and Sant'Egidio just received you because you came here with the project of the humanitarian corridors, and they have a house ready for you, where you can live. It's not the most fancy thing, but it's good enough for you to live a, well, in Dutch we say human-worthy life. And then a few days later, your father tells to you, you are the small girl, he tells you that he received an invitation for you. You are invited to this weird place where there are these people that tell you that they want to be your friend. Do you want to go to this Saturday? You are like, well, I guess so. And then Saturday comes, and all of a sudden there's a strange man who has talked to your father who is ready to take you to that place. That place is the School of Peace. And you go there as the little girl, and you arrive and you see a whole diverse group of people, youngsters from all walks of life, and children, very diverse. And that makes the world feel a bit less intimidating. Well, maybe it is intimidating, but once they approach you and they talk to you and they dedicate their whole day into making you feel comfortable, even though you don't even have homework with you, that's not important. We can play with you, we can talk to you, and we can make sure that you enjoy yourself and you feel well. That's the role that the School of Peace plays. And after a few weeks, you come again for a fourth time. Now you have a school that the people of the humanitarian corridors found for you. I'd like to give my kudos to my colleagues of the humanitarian corridors for that. And now the youngsters there, they help you with your homework, and it's a Dutch-speaking school where you go. But the majority of our children speak French, so you are also kind of forced to speak French. And that's no worry, that's no worry. Our children, I don't know how they do it, but they always find a way to entertain themselves, even though they don't understand anything what they say. They just come to you like, hey, can I play with this thing? And you have to say, no, that's too dangerous. And then sometimes they do it anyway, and they coordinate it themselves, even though they don't understand each other. It still baffles me sometimes, but it's fun to see. And by doing this, you allow yourself to integrate into a society because you speak the language, because you can learn all the grammar rules you want, but you cannot learn a language if you don't have someone to speak it with. And that's what the School of Peace also offers. It's interaction between children, and children have some sort of magic within their brain that allows them to pick up languages much more easily. And then, we are still a little girl, your cousins have arrived in Belgium as well. We're now 1 month further, and your cousins, they come live above you because they have also been received by Sant'Egidio and the humanitarian corridors. And they come also to the School of Peace, have been invited out of nowhere, come here, we want to be your friends. And they become your friend. And now you can share it with them, and you experience the School of Peace just like everyone else does, the same mischief, the same fun, the same games. And recently there was even a girl who confessed to me that she had a crush on one of your cousins. True story, by the way. The girl I'm talking about, her name is Maria, and she came exactly from Afghanistan. But she's not the first one. Of course, there are cousins, but we had Syrian kids who came to us, also from the humanitarian corridors, who came and they came to the School of Peace, and now they have been here for, I think, 3 years at this point. And the oldest of our Syrian boys, it's amazing to see how effortless they have been able to speak French right now. I don't even hear an accent anymore. And back then, at the first time, we couldn't even communicate. Google Translate was our best friend at that time. But now we don't need it anymore. It still baffles me, which to me always proves that the work that we do at the School of Peace, yes, it can help school grades get better, which is very important. It can allow for social mobility. But if you are a migrant, if you are a refugee, learning the language is step one that can open so many doors. Maybe most people here would be too old to be a child at the School of Peace. But if you are a child at the School of Peace, it is a perfect opportunity for you. And I would like to conclude by talking about this concept. With the Youth for Peace, we have monthly talks about the gospel, about the Bible, what drives our activity, our initiative. And I don't exactly remember when it was, but there was this concept of calling that we talked about, like being called upon, not by someone, but by something that we feel deep within our hearts. In the Christian tradition, we would say that that is the Holy Spirit. And being called upon is a very important part of I would say, School of Peace culture. It has been founded in 1968. It is the oldest initiative of Sant'Egidio. There was a day when there was nothing else but School of Peace. That was Sant'Egidio. And it was founded in Rome, in the, back then, very poor Trastevere neighborhood, by a mere 18-year-old boy who saw the poverty in his own neighborhood and wanted to do something about it. He felt called upon to take action. So he mobilized some of his friends, and so they went. They went to pick up those children, and they brought them all in a communal hall. It was the Sant'Egidio church at the Piazza di Sant'Egidio. Very nice if you are there today. And that's what they did. They did exactly the same thing as we do today. And that mere 18-year-old boy, I don't know if he realized it back then, but he founded an international, people would say organization, but I call it international community that spans across nations up until here in Brussels, far away from Italy, where we do the exact same thing. And I felt the same thing, like I told in the beginning of my speech here. I felt called upon to do something. I wanted to bring meaning to someone just for the sake of it, because all of it is unpaid. Very important. And like my colleague over there, Stan, he's also at the School of Peace. He also felt called upon by his friend, as in by his heart, to come with us, and he's been with us for many years now. But also for Sister Mai or Vincenzo, and everyone who keeps up the good work. They have been here because they felt that they had to do something, whatever it was, to make the world a better place. And I've been very happy to share that with you. I had these two papers here to distinguish between the School of Peace and the Youth for Peace. There are more flyers downstairs, I can tell you all about it. But yeah, it's been a pleasure talking about the School of Peace with you guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Nathan. I think we are all inspired by your presentation because we can really feel the enthusiasm and the commitment, and also like the positivity that you get from the work, from the children and the people involved. And with this kind of like energy and positive approach, then I will turn to Vincenzo, who is communication assistant at JRS Europe. JRS Europe is an international Catholic organization with a mission to accompany, serve and advocate for the rights of refugees and others who are forcibly displaced. It's present in 23 European countries, and Vincenzo will guide us in the journey of restoring dignity and confidence through the Livelihood Project.
Yeah.
So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi everyone. I'm Vincenzo and I'm working with JRS Europe, as Sarah said. I'm here to present one of our last publication, that is the Livelihood Report, that is about employability, but not only about that. It's a project run by JRS Europe across 8 different countries. And so the project is about employability, but also to give dignity and hope to forcibly displaced people, migrants and asylum seekers. So how we do that? We try to empower these people, try to give them the opportunity to enter in the market job, but not only with a long-term solution, but also with immediate solution, so they can regain control over their life and reaching a sense of community, as Raymond was saying before. Something that makes the project really impactful is the holistic approach that we used in our different countries. So the first step is, of course, linguistic support and also legal support. So without language there is no integration, but also there is legal support to help people to go through the complexity system and law system of the different countries. So we try to also have partnership with the local community, so non-profit organization, private stakeholders, to give the sense of community to these people, and also with a gender-sensitive approach, because of course due to gender roles historically implemented in society, most of the times women are the ones that need more help. So I'll go through the different countries quickly to show the different approach that we had in these countries. We will see that there is this approach that is holistic, but also some challenges that are common in the different countries. And something that I like from this report is that there are also stories of success. So there are stories from the beneficiaries that succeeded in integrating in the hosting community. So we will start with JRS Create. So personalized assistance to different type of problems. But also in this case, the problem will be language and the high request of proficiency in French labor market. And also the administrative problems of non-recognition of participants' diplomas or skills. But also in this case, we brought a story of success of Zakher, originally from Afghanistan, that thanks to JRS France, he was admitted to the university, so opened the door through the job market. Another example is JRS Germany, that emphasized the legal support, but also the psychosocial support So also in this case, the challenges are related to delays in asylum seekers and procedure, and also a lack of vocational trainings to give the basic skills. So in this case, I present the story of Mena, originally from Syria, that goes around through Jordan and Egypt, and then in Germany with his family. And here he started to the care assistant career. So he entered in the job market thanks also to JRS Germany. Another example is JRS Greece that focus on women and integration. So in this case, for Greece, the challenge is also connected to the childcare assistance. So as I said, sometimes in some countries women have more problems. But also in this case, for example, Angel from the Democratic Republic of Congo, she came in Greece as a single mother, but she entered thanks to the support of JRS Greece and the language support they provide to start this career. Then there is also JRS Malta, in which they focus on the language learnings and soft skills. So there is the transition through the market job that is IT, hospitality, and in this case the challenge is the limited analysis of the formal market due to limited resources of the office. But in this case also we have the example of Ibrahim that arrived in Malta for support and education, and he can continue his path that he started in his country. Then there is JRS Poland that focus more on immediate skills, so we are talking about language but also cultural integration. Here the challenges are also the high level of underemployment in the country. But for example, Olena, that is Ukrainian, she came to Poland and now she had her own cafe where she managed and integrating into the society. Then we have JRS Portugal that use an holistic approach combining all the skills required. But also in this case the challenges can be the difficulty of language, so also what is asked to people, but also in this case we have the example of the example of Tiftina that is from Guinea-Bissau, and thanks to JRS Portugal now she holds a diploma. So also another example of integration. And then last but not least, we have JRS Romania that also in this case try to foster integration on a cultural and linguistic point of view. So in this case also we present the case of Antonina that is from Ukraine. So after the invasion of Russia, she goes to Romania with her two daughters, and thanks to support of JRS Romania, now she runs her own business. So as we have seen, there are a lot of challenges that are common to the different countries. One of the main problems remains the language barrier and the administrative delays. But another ability of the people due to the fact that they have trauma, they are still moving in different places. But also another problem could be the lack of adequate resources. But as we have seen, so there are a lot of story of success, thanks to the holistic approach that helps to people to integrate into the community. So I'll conclude saying that one of the most important point of this report, of this project, is the integration, the empowerment of people, supporting them through long-term but also immediate relief actions. So to create a sense of community among all the people that can help all the hosting community to have a better future.
Thank you. Thank you, Vincenzo. Thank you for bringing different stories of the people that they were involved in the project and they got a second chance. But I think you highlight something very important that to different countries, and is what also Nata was highlighting. And then sometimes what we forget can also guide us to find a human solution on human rights-based solutions. I would like to open the floor to the public. If there are any questions, any comments. I think there were all stories, very inspiring stories, and quite local as well, two of the projects, but still, yeah, the one of JRS as well, maybe from our own countries. Any question? Yes, Rob.
Thank you, Sara. So first of all, thank you for these super interesting and inspiring presentations indeed. Thank you so much. My name is Rob Kogel. I work for the European External Action Service. My question would be to basically all the three of you. How long do you accompany your refugee persons? Is it only like a cycle of 3 years, of 4 years, in the case of school, in the case of integration programs, or do you accompany them?
This project before, and with the partner we have, they accompany the young people until 24, because we see that when they finish the secondary school, they are not ready to be independent, autonomous, because there are so many barriers of language, administrative things, trauma, like Vincenzo say. And so we can work on it for 2, 3, 4 years, but then we have to continue, but not with the daily life. So after they go to university, they work and things like that. And so it's our partner who take the lead of that after. And then I think we cannot be with them the entire life, but what is sure is we will have a link for all the life after. So.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's something, so refugees, or you are a child refugee or migrant yourself, you adhere to the same age brackets, but of course we try to remain friends. I mean, one of those Syrian boys I told you about, he's beginning to become a bit too old.
Thank you so much for the question. I think also the second one bring a very important topic, maybe about interfaith. That can be
yes.
one of the...
Yes, so what we see over the years, it's if I was by myself, it's impossible to have this kind of project. So that's why we have this partner who do the psychological support, social and administrative support. But then it's true that for one young, it's at least 5 persons that has to work full of time, almost, like the guardians, the psychologists, the school, the daily life and everything. But it's the same for the other young people, like the Belgian one. So yes, we need to have a network to work together, and also because these young people have this also kind of particularity to be really affective, and so if we want them to grow up, we need to be several also to make a bit of distance. I don't know how to say that, but it's take part of the
to give to them, but then it depends on the countries, so and on the project that they are running. So the network that they have depends on their project, and yeah.
Yes, your question about, well, I liked your question. You asked if we talk about Jesus, was it? If we talk about Jesus or the gospel, or about faith. Well, I would say that yes, in fact we do, but not in a direct way, like we don't read the Bible before them. But, for instance, at some occasions, we mentioned, for instance, before Easter, we try to explain why it is an important feast, why it's an important day, an important celebration for Christians. But also, what we often try to do is, well, we have a lot of Muslims at the School of Peace. There are Christians and Muslims mostly, and what we try to do is search for the things that connect us, and usually it can be speaking about, well, the values of peace and friendship and human connection. But to give a very concrete example, during our group talks, we once tackled, well, we approached the topic of a certain Mr. Floribert. Maybe some people have heard of him. I normally have a picture of him, very small. But Floribert was someone of the School of Peace who resisted corruption. Well, not our School of Peace, but in Congo. And he resisted corruption, for which he paid it with his life. It was like in 2007 or 2008. And 2 weeks ago, he was beatificated by the Catholic Church. And at the School of Peace, we talked about his deed. And being beatificated obviously is a very Christian, very Catholic thing. But we also tried to explain why. Because he wanted to protect his people. And they could have been, it was in the east of Congo, so they could have been Christian or Muslim. He didn't want to get spoiled, that spoiled food would go into the mouths of those children. Of course, they tried to bribe him. He would have been very rich if he let them through, but he did not. And that's why they assassinated him. And why do I tell this? We talk to this. It's a very hard topic, but we talk to this to our children, and we talk to his about his Christian belief. And so we are not trying to convert them, but we are called the School of Peace for a reason, and we try to bring out those values from Sant'Egidio, of which they know it is a Christian association. We are in the complex next to our church, so it's very easy to see our Christian identity. But yeah, we don't shy away from sharing our Christianity with them.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Do I see other question? Yes. The last one. I know we are running out, but I don't want to stop the discussion because it's the most interesting part.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this evening first. And so I'm very integrated, I'm Spanish, but very integrated in Belgium. And I was very shy, I didn't want to say that I'm migrant, but I really connect with your stories because I came here for one particular reason, with my parents. Okay, but I feel that the people you care for are the happy fews. I'm very, very sorry, but I know through the Belgian papers, information, and also my sister, who's working as a judge for youth here in Brussels, that there are thousands of young people waiting for a solution, and they are they are in very, very difficult circumstances at home, and they only want to fly away, but they can't. So how do you manage this sort of responsibility to choose for some and to say sorry to the others? I imagine that it's very, very hard for you, and that's not a question that is a piece of information. It's obvious that the circumstances are not getting better. So, yes, how do you manage? Do you have any voices of hope about this?
Thank you so much. A very interesting question.
So it's like indeed like we have 6 places for migrants, so it's not a lot, and we know that if we can open more, we will have more. So this is obvious. The choice for only girls, we really manage it really well because we like it's our mission, I would like to say. And indeed we don't choose the girls who come because it's one of the part of to be with the FEDASIL. It's like it's FEDASIL who say to us, okay, this girl will come to you, and these girls and these girls and these girls. And what we know also, it's like we take part also of another big structure that welcome only the minority of the minority. And so we know also that FEDASIL give us the girls the most, I don't know the word, but like the most destroyed, I would like to say. No, it's not like this, but it's like, but so, yes, that's why also the project has to have a hand, and so when they finish the secondary school, we have another that come. So that's why also they are with us for 2-3 years max, but then we have this cycle. And then also for the girls, it's different for the boys, but because we have phases 3 in the FEDASIL project, so there are the 1, the 2, and the 3. And 3, it's before the autonomy, total autonomy. And when you arrive in these phases, there's only 11% of girls. So, which means not a lot at the end, because after phases 2, most of the girls are by themselves, or they are take part in the prostitution network, or with boys that do human traffic or things like that. So for the girls, it's only 11% of 3,000 people. So it's still a lot, but it's not that much that the boys. And it's true also that, for example, in Brussels, we miss a lot of projects like this. So, yes, it's one of the problems.
Would you like shortly to add something, or?
Yeah, I can add something about specifically the humanitarian corridors. Like I told about the families that we bring here. We do that in correspondence with the federal government, like the actual minister, the ministers, and they designate. They say that you can bring this many people here, and we go to a specific country and we screen the families. We ask them about their stories, and we submit them to the government in the hope that they are accepted. And because we have an accord with them, they get accepted and they come here, and then we go through the whole process of making them independent. For instance, this year we have 46 people, but of course there are more than 46 refugees in the world. and especially in Afghanistan or Pakistan. But our philosophy is that, well, at first we would like to help much more than we do now. We want to, but if we cannot, our philosophy is that that's not a reason to help no one. So if we can help someone, that's already a victory, especially in the lives of those people. So that's the approach that we have towards it.
Thank you, Nathan. Always inspiring.
My pleasure.
Vincenzo, would you?
Like as I said, for us it depends also on the resources that the different country offices have. So there are offices with a lot of staff, volunteers, so they can help more people, and staff that are really small, but still, as Nathan said, it's important also to help one person, but still trying to be there. So I think also our presence, like in Ukraine, is important, even if the office is not that big, but at least you know that that JRS is there, so we can try to help.
Thank you so much. I will then leave the room for other questions during our gathering. We are closing the event, and after we are really pleased to offer you some food that is realized by refugees. So we would like to bring unity through food. That is a very powerful tool, as we know. Just like very few takeaways from the discussion. It's true, like sometimes we are overwhelmed of the complexity around the migration topic and the narrative around, but still, like the importance of throw some seeds that at one point will definitely grow, and the importance of like every life is worth it. And what we say, of course, like you feel overwhelmed, but then when you come back to yourself, to your dimension, you ask yourself, how many lives do you have? One. And the other is like you. So it's worth it to create the space of listening, of talking together, that this allows us to feel the same, to understand that we are the same, and that is possible to be the community approach around migration that is targeting on personalized solutions. And this, as we mentioned, needs where networks, need partnerships, need skills, and needs funds as well. So we call the European institution also to fund the sustainability of organizations like this. When we feel a bit lost in this, I would remind, and I will ask the contribution of Father Alberto Ares and Eliane Mas to present briefly a path of hospitalities that is a decalogue, so a practical and spiritual guideline for individuals or communities that are committed to welcome and accompany migrants and refugees. So, yes, welcome to the stage.
I don't know if it's happened to you, but one that we see all these testimonies, we can listen, no, all these projects, all these communities. One feel the call, no, to act, to walk. This is one of the invitations that we received this year also within the Catholic Church to be pilgrims of hope, to do this kind of paths of hospitality. So we want to share with you just briefly 10 tips, like decalogue, no, for us to continue your path. That is like a blessing for all of us. No? The first one is to welcome. Welcome with open heart. Receive every migrant as a brother or sister, recognizing their inherent dignity as human beings. Each encounter is an opportunity to welcome Christ Himself, who is present in those most in need.
The second one is to protect. Protect life and rights. Defend the fundamental rights of migrants, especially the most vulnerable. such as children and women, ensuring their safety and well-being.
The third one is to promote. To promote integral development, facilitate access to education, healthcare, employment, and other basic services, allowing migrants to fully develop their potentials and contribute to society.
The fourth is to integrate. Integrate with respect and diversity. Encourage the active participation of migrants in community life, valuing and respecting their cultures and traditions.
The fifth is to build bridges of reconciliation, work to heal bonds, and overcome prejudice by promoting dialogue and mutual understanding between host and origin communities.
The sixth and following one is to listen. Listen and give voice. Pay attention to the stories and experience of migrants, amplifying their voices and acknowledging their roles in building a more just society.
Next one is denounce. Like most of the things that we have listened today, to denounce injustice and indifference. Raise your voice against policies and practices that violate migrants' rights, fostering a culture of solidarity and justice.
Number 8, we're almost there, is to share. Share what you have. Offer your resources, time and talents to support migrants, recognizing that hospitality is expressed through concrete acts of service and generosity.
Educate. Educate for hospitality. Promote education and awareness about the reality of migration in your environment, encouraging a welcoming and empathetic attitude that can transform society.
And the last one is act. Pray and act with hope. Sustain your commitment to prayer and action, trusting that every gesture of hospitality contributes to building the kingdom of God on earth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alberto Elian. Thank you, our panelists and the organization for their contribution. Also of our partner, the African Europe Faith and Justice Network, Elvis. Unfortunately, he was not able to join due to a visa issue. But please join us together to enjoy the food and enjoy some dialogue downstairs. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the Chapel of Europe to create always a space of dialogue, sharing, and inspiring thoughts.
Yes. And yes, I would like to thank you too. And also, if someone take pictures, I don't know if you take pictures of the pictures that I put on the presentation, please do not put them on the social network, because for the young people didn't say yes for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, it was good because I mean it was a bit longer, but we acted very well.